They say kindness has a way of circling back, even when you least expect it. But when one struggling single dad shared the little food he had with two poor twin girls, he never imagined it would spark 12 miracles that would quietly transform his life forever. This isn't just a story about hunger and hardship. It's about compassion, sacrifice, and the unshakable belief that even in the darkest winters, a small act of love can change everything. Chapter 1: The Night That Changed Everything. It was a bitterly cold night, the kind of night when the wind whistled through broken windows and frostbit at exposed skin. Daniel pulled his jacket tighter as he walked home from his night shift at the warehouse. His body was worn down, aching knees, a stiff back, and hands calloused from years of labor. Clutched in his hands was a small paper bag with a loaf of bread, a few eggs, and a carton of milk. It wasn't much, but it was enough for him and his son, Jacob, to stretch through the next couple of days. But as Daniel turned onto the old church street, he froze. There, on the cold stone steps, were two small girls curled up under a torn blanket. Their knees hugged tightly to their chests, their lips blue from the cold. They were twins. Skinny. Pale. Their eyes hollow, yet still carrying a glimmer of hope. Daniel had seen them before, wandering the neighborhood with dirty plastic bags, collecting cans or searching through trash bins. Some whispered they were orphans. Others claimed their parents had abandoned them. Whatever the truth, those girls were surviving on scraps. That night, when their tired eyes locked on his grocery bag, Daniel felt a pang deep in his chest. He knew the look. The look of hunger. Slowly, he crouched down in front of them. "Hey," he said gently, trying not to startle them. "You girls hungry?" One of the twins nodded quickly, then stopped herself, as if ashamed to admit it. Daniel opened the bag, pulled out the bread and milk, and handed it over. "Take this," he said softly. The braver twin hesitated. "But, what about you? Don't you need it?" Daniel swallowed hard. He thought of Jacob waiting at home. But then, he looked at the shivering girls. "We'll be okay," he said firmly. "Right now, you need this more than we do." And with that, he placed the food in their hands and walked away, not knowing that this one decision would change the rest of his life. Chapter 2: The Quiet Routine of Sacrifice. From that night on, Daniel couldn't ignore them. Every day, no matter how little he had, he set aside something for the twins. Sometimes it was an apple. Sometimes a sandwich. Sometimes just a boiled egg. At first, Jacob was confused. One night he asked, "Dad, why do you always give away our food?" "We don't have much." Daniel looked at his son. His only reason for living since his wife had passed years earlier. "Because, son, those girls don't have anyone. If we don't help them, who will?" Jacob thought for a long moment, then nodded. "Then we should share." From that moment, Jacob became part of the routine. He would carry little packets of food in his backpack, slipping them to the girls when no one was watching. Sometimes he even split his own lunch in half. The twins began to smile more. They started calling Daniel Uncle Dan. For the first time in a long time, they weren't invisible anymore. But behind that kindness, Daniel's own struggles deepened. His hours at the warehouse grew longer, yet his pay barely covered rent and utilities. Some nights he skipped dinner just so Jacob and the twins could eat. His body grew weaker, but he never complained. He didn't realize it then, but his sacrifices were being noticed by people, by life itself, and maybe even by something greater. Chapter 3: The First Miracle, a Doctor in the Crowd. One evening, as Daniel handed the twins sandwiches, a man passing by stopped. He was Dr. Andrews, a physician at the community clinic. He had seen Daniel before, always giving food to the girls. That night, he approached him. "You're the man who's been helping them, aren't you?" Daniel shrugged. "They're just kids. Someone's got to look out for them." Dr. Andrews smiled gently. "Then let me do my part. Bring them to the clinic tomorrow. No charge. I'll make sure they're healthy." That was the first miracle. For the first time in years, the twins received medical care. they got vaccinations, checkups, and even vitamins to help them grow stronger. Chapter 4, The Second Miracle, Shoes for the Winter. Weeks later, a brown paper bag appeared on Daniel's doorstep. Inside were 2 pairs of sturdy winter boots, just the right size for the twins. No note, no explanation. When Daniel gave them to the girls, they cried, clutching the shoes like treasures. That winter, for the first time, they didn't walk barefoot on frozen ground. Chapter 5, The Third Miracle, A Hidden Scholarship. When Jacob turned 12, Daniel worried he wouldn't be able to afford school supplies anymore. But then, a teacher who had noticed Jacob's kindness recommended him for a scholarship program. Not only did Jacob get his books and uniforms covered, but with Daniel's persistence, Emily and Grace, the twins, were also enrolled in school. The 3 children walked to class together every morning. Daniel watched them go with tears in his eyes, knowing education was their ticket to a future he never had. Expansion continues. Backhand index pointing right. I'll continue to expand every miracle with deeper storytelling. Scenes of Daniel falling sick, and the store owner helping. Dialogue between Jacob and the twins about hope. Emotional moments of failure and resilience. Each miracle stretched into a mini-chapter with description plus emotional beats. The final cafe miracle is a grand cinematic ending. This will easily carry the story into 5,000 words pacing for a YouTube voiceover, about 30 to 35 minutes runtime.